Welcome into our Nevada Sportsnet studios for our 2025 Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers Mountain West Football Preview Show. He's Chris Murray. I'm Shannon Kelly. Over the next hour, we'll take a deep dive into the Mountain West. We'll hear from all 12 of the league's head coaches, some of the players, and it is the final season of the Mountain West as we know it, Chris.
That's obviously one of the big storylines heading into this season. You look at since 2013 when the Mountain West Football Championship game was created, there's been 12 champions of the league. 11 are schools that are going to be departing for the Pac-12. So those schools have kind of been the cream of the crop for the Mountain West for a long time. Will that be the case this season? We'll know over the next several months.
5 schools that are off to the Pac-12 in 2026. That's Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Colorado State, and Boise State. The Mountain West will welcome Northern Illinois as a football-only member. Next season, UC Davis will join the league in every sport except for football. UTEP and Hawaii will join as full-time members, and then Grand Canyon is actually joining the Mountain West a year earlier than anticipated, but it does not sponsor football. So things will look a lot different, but certainly the league is trying to get the most it can out of this season after making it into the inaugural 12-team college football playoff. Boise State primed as one of the top group of 5 schools once again this season to make a run to the college football playoff.
And I think the cool thing about last year is when Boise State played UNLV in the Mountain West Championship game, whoever won that was going to be the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. So it wasn't just one school, and if they made it through, they were good enough. The conference at large was good enough to put its best team into the college football playoff, and that will be the goal again this year because there's a lot of financial benefit if you do get into the college football playoff. With the American Conference a little bit down after losing some schools to the Big 12, the Mountain West is the best group of 5 conference when it comes to football and men's basketball. Now, will it be able to, for a second season, get into that CFP?
Here is Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Nevarez from Mountain West Conference Media Days talking about the CFP and likes the chances of the league making it back this year.
Last year, we proudly earned a spot in that playoff, and we believe we could be similarly competitive this coming season. Because remember, last year at our championship, we knew that the winner of that game was going to be in the CFP. And Boise State made history by earning the AQ and getting a bye by one of the top 4 ranked conference champions. Next year's CFP playoff will look a lot like last year's. We did support the straight seeding in the bracket. We realize there are still a lot of conversations about format and what that would look like in the future. If there is expansion or change to the format, the Mountain West is adamantly against multiple AQs.
So the Mountain West had just one bowl game winner, that being UNLV in the LA Bowl last year, the first time the Mountain West failed to win multiple bowl games in more than a decade, but albeit Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl to Penn State was a big deal nonetheless, to say the least.
There was quite a bit of separation between Boise State and UNLV and the rest of the league. 1-4 in bowl games, those 5 bowl eligible teams, the fewest for the conference since 2012. That one bowl win, the fewest for the conference since 2012 as well. So can the middle and the bottom of the Mountain West get better? And that will help everybody, especially those at the top, their strength of schedule to be able to get into the college football playoff. That's a storyline heading into the year.
4 of the 12 schools have new head coaches this year, one of those being UNLV's Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen, who had spent many years in the SEC, is now headed to UNLV. He's the highest paid coach in the Mountain West. He even said at Media Days, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, do you think I'd be the head coach of UNLV? I would have said never. So you look at what Barry Odom did in 2 short years, this run of unprecedented success that the Rebels will try and build on this year.
Well, here's a fun fact. Dan Mullen's going to make $3.5 million this year. All 14 of Nevada's head coaches in all of its sports are going to combine to make $3.9 million this year. So he's almost making as much as the entire top base of the salary structure for the Nevada Wolfpack. And when you pay someone like that, you want to have success. He seems like he's primed for success given that history. He was great in the SEC. You would think he's going to be great at UNLV. We just don't maybe know how long he's going to be there if he does have a ton of success.
We'll get into the Rebels a little more in just a little bit, but switching gears back up here in Northern Nevada, the Wolfpack, led by second-year head coach Jeff Choate. Nevada looks to bounce back and get to a bowl game for the first time since 2021 after 3 straight seasons with 10 losses. Jeff Choate and his staff poised to turn this program around, Chris.
And he has to. I mean, if Nevada athletics is going to be healthy, football has to be healthy, football has to be good, football has to get to a bowl, football has to compete for championships. It didn't happen in year one. He inherited a very difficult situation, and the thought was, well, I'm going to launch this thing up and kind of skip a step, get to that bowl in year one. They were much more competitive. They were better on offense. They were better on defense. Not very good on special teams, but they couldn't close out those close games, 2 and 6 in one possession scores, and was not able to finish. Can they finish in the fourth quarter against what's going to be a little bit easier of a schedule than we saw last year? A lot of new names, a lot of new faces, just 4 starters back, but there is pretty good experience on this roster. Just a lot of that experience came elsewhere. Can they gel quick enough, and can quarterback Chubba Purdy take this team to the promised land, which for this season is just getting back to the postseason and showing again that you can be a functional FBS football program?
Here is Coach Choate and a couple of the guys at Media Days on being picked to finish last in the league for the second straight year.
I said, hey guys, where are we going to be picked in the Mountain West? They know what other people think of us, and we kind of like that. You know, we're just little old Nevada trying to just keep a football program rolling up there. We'll see if we're able to do anything. So I think it is what it is, and I think a lot of it, when you're looking at it, you're going, okay, we lost our top 2 receivers, our quarterback, our top rusher, right? 9 of our 11 starters on defense. Of course you're going to say, well, these guys don't bring anybody back. It's like we're only going to play with 2 guys on defense, evidently, and nobody on offense, so how are we going to win a game, right? So that's kind of what I think of it, you know, like whatever, you know. I mean, candidly, I don't think this is an indictment on any of our players. I think it's an insult to me. That's how I look at it. Like, I've been doing this 30 years, you know, and I've been pretty successful everywhere I've been. And so, you know, my team will play like I coach them.
I don't pay attention to that. We haven't played a single game yet, and so these guys are just throwing their opinions out at this point. And yeah, I don't agree with their opinion, if you want me to be honest. So I think that gives us a nice little chip on our shoulder to think about.
I actually just learned about that this morning. So I heard they picked us last. You know, which is fine. You know, we're just focused on Nevada. Just stay away from the outside noise and everything, and just focus on the guys in the locker room and what we got going on there. So.
Chris, you mentioned some of the key storylines, but can Nevada get back to a bowl game? Can they close the gap in those one-score games going 2 and 6? Can Nevada have a rusher go for more than 1,000 yards this year, something that hasn't been done at Nevada since 2016? Can they be better on third down this year? So a lot of things to look at, but it'll be interesting to see how things play out in these early non-conference games before Mountain West play.
Well, I mean, let's make it clear. Nevada should be picked to finish last based on the recent history. The last 3 years, they're 7 and 30 overall. They're 2 and 21 in the Mountain West. They've finished last in the Mountain West 3 straight years, and they don't bring back a lot of productivity. So are they going to finish last? I don't think so, but they kind of have the deserved label of finishing last because that's what everybody has seen the last couple of years. They want to turn the page on that. So they have set higher goals for this year, and this is what Jeff Choate had to say about the goals in 2025.
Go to a bowl game. I mean, I think that's the goal. That's at the top of the pyramid. I don't control what bowl game that is, but if we put ourselves in a position where we get to 6, 7, 8, 9 wins, you know, we're going to have that opportunity. And you know, that's going to always be a challenge. I would think that, you know, even Spencer would probably say the same thing. Like, he doesn't control whether they get into that CFP at the end of the day. That's a committee. And so I think all of us probably have similar goals. Like, let's go to whatever bowl game they say we got to go to, and let's try to win that sucker.
I hope that our team is a good team, obviously, but you know, I want to have fun with our guys, win a couple games, and just, you know, attack the season. I mean, every year is a goal to, you know, get the Mountain West title, and you know, we're no different. But you know, we're Nevada, and we're just excited to play these competitions.
I think going to a bowl game, winning the bowl game, and beating UNLV would be an amazing season. So that I feel like that would be huge for Reno and our program, and I feel like that would be a successful season.
Nevada opens up the 2025 campaign with a tough task in Happy Valley against Penn State. Coming up next on our Mountain West football preview show, we take it the league's top 3 schools, taking a look at the Boise State Broncos, who are poised for another successful campaign. Welcome back. Taking a look at the Mountain West preseason favorites, Boise State, led by second-year head coach Spencer Danielson, as we mentioned in the first segment, led the Broncos to the inaugural college football playoff, the lone group of 5 school to do so. And Boise State wasn't the only most talented team per se, Chris, as the winner of that Mountain West championship game would have earned a spot in the college football playoff. One of the big question marks this year is without that guy right there, Ashton Genty. How is the Boise State offense going to look? But this Broncos team is still stacked on both sides of the ball and returns its quarterback in Maddox Madsen.
Yeah, he's the preseason Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. And when you lose the reigning Heisman Trophy runner-up, there are going to be questions. But there are 24 players on the All-Mountain West preseason defensive and offensive team, and 10 of them belong to Boise State. No other school has more than 3. This is the most talented team in the Mountain West. It always is. And Spencer Danielson has got this program back on track. I mean, there were a couple years there where things were turning bad, and he stepped up as the interim head coach, won a championship in 2023, another championship undefeated conference season in 2024. So things are back on track at Boise State. Here's what Coach Danielson had to say about coming off that Fiesta Bowl appearance and trying to repeat that in 2025.
For all the guys that were on this team last year, that season's over, right? You don't start halfway up the mountain. You start at the bottom and you take one step at a time. Greatness never goes on sale. Like, we got to go to work every single day. That's been the message for our team.
There's quite a bit of pressure for sure, but I think one thing that our coaches do well is really just blocking out any outside noise, anything from any other schools or any other like media just saying, putting the pressure on us to have another good season, and just really seeing Coach Danielson harp on us for that, and then really just seeing him be the same person no matter what.
I think some of the greatest strengths are going to be, first off, starting with our quarterback. Having a returning starter, Maddox Madsen, I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country. Next to that will be in our fronts. I think our O&D line, we consistently put a lot of pride in our fronts. Like, I believe in running the football on offense and stopping the run on defense.
I think if you were to come to the facility and see the amount of work that we're doing, I mean, it's almost like it's already fall camp since June. I mean, we're coming in at 6 a.m. and we're not leaving until like 2 or 3 p.m. just because of how much extra work that we're getting. We're going to the film room. We're going outside to do extra drills. We're going to the training room. There's every little thing that we can do, we're doing, and I think that's going to help, shoot us out this season.
Heading down to Southern Nevada now to take a look at the UNLV Rebels, led by first-year head coach Dan Mullen. Can UNLV continue its sustained success at the top of the Mountain West after Barry Odom was there for 2 seasons and helped turn that program around? The Rebels return just 2 starters this year, one on offense in running back Jaden Thomas, and then on defense linebacker Marcel McDuffie. So how fast is this team going to gel under Mullen's leadership and this culture and foundation, which has pretty much been set in place, but what things will be different this year?
Yeah, 136 FBS programs. UNLV has the 5th fewest returning productivity from last year. It doesn't mean that this team's not talented, though. They got a lot of really high-level transfers in the program. Like you said, it's about gelling. It's about putting those pieces together and getting the most out of them. That's not always the easiest thing to do in 1 year. Here's what Dan Mullen, the head coach of UNLV, had to say about this year's squad, what he likes about the Rebels.
I have a really good feeling about this team. I like this team. I like our mindset. I like our attitude. You know, when you love guys that show up and they love football, right? You look at your issues, right? You kind of, I don't know if it's not like an exact formula. It's more a gut feeling. But hey, let's take our issues multiplied by how we did academically, times by how much our guys love football, and then how is our talent at certain positions. And whatever the formula may be, but we don't have any issues within the program. You got on the practice field, our guys love to be on the field. Our guys like to be around each other. I really like the mindset, the attitude of where this team is. How that'll translate, we're going to have a lot of fun. I think we're gonna put a great product onto the field, but obviously we're in an extremely competitive conference that I'll be learning as some of our players will be as well, to see where we'll be compared to a lot of the other teams in this league.
It's been great. Ever since he's came in, he's kind of from the jump, he kind of set the standard and told us that he doesn't really want to bring in a whole new culture. He knows that we've built a winning culture on our own. He just wants to bring the bits and pieces in that he feels like will push us to that next step of winning a conference championship and playing in the playoffs.
There's always a standard you want to uphold, and that's winning the Mountain West Championship this year while also taking it game by game. There's really no pressure. I think if guys just go out there and do what they need to do, we have the talent to do it, and we really should dominate every team in this conference this year.
Heading over to the Bay Area now to take a look at the San Jose State Spartans, led by second-year head coach Ken Niumatalolo. A 7-6 season last year, went to the Hawaii Bowl, lost in 5 overtime. What a crazy game that was, yeah. I'm sure. But this Spartans program has had success under Brent Brennan. He went off to Arizona, and then Coach Ken Niumatalolo continuing to rise this program, who returns a lot of players. They return their starting quarterback in Walker Eget, and a lot of players up front in the trenches on offense and defense.
Yeah, their top rusher is back. They've got the best middle linebacker duo in the Mountain West as well. There's actually pretty good continuity with this program, which is coming off a 3rd straight bowl appearance. It's the first time San Jose State has ever done that. So despite the coaching change, the train stayed on the tracks, and San Jose State, to me, is kind of the dark horse to win this thing, because they do not play UNLV or Boise State in the regular season. So it's a favorable conference schedule, and it's a pretty talented team. There are some question marks at wide receiver and in the secondary, but things do seem lined up for San Jose State, not only to get back to a bowl, but maybe even higher aspirations this season.
Here is Coach Niumatalolo talking about the difference from last season into this year.
It's so different. I mean, it's so different. This time last year, like I said, I remember sitting at this table and I talked a good game, but it was chaos last year. I mean, we were still trying to figure things out. I think I was still living in the dorms at this time. No, actually, I moved in my house. But I mean, you go from a place where I was at for 25 years, and then I come to school for the first year where I don't know anything. So there's a lot of transition, new coaches, new players, new staff. But now we don't have any of that. And I think guys early on, some of the things, the way I did things, I don't know if guys truly bought in. You know, they kind of look at you sideways. Okay, why are we doing that? That doesn't make sense. Where now I can see where those guys are bought in.
It's been great off season. I think the biggest thing is just striving to be better. I think something that Coach Ken does amazing, and what he's brought from day one is everybody together. Everything's a family. Everything is doing things as a unit, and I think that's something that we strive together as a team, and that's something that we sort of live by.
Coming up next on our Mountain West football preview show, we'll take a look at some of the other schools the Wolfpack will face in 2025. Welcome back into our Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers Mountain West football preview show. We head out now to the Central Valley to take a look at the Fresno State Bulldogs, and it's a new era with head coach Matt Entz leading the program. He comes over after spending a season at USC as their linebackers coach, and then previously was in the FCS ranks as the head coach at North Dakota State, won 2 national championships. Can he bring that championship culture over to Fresno State? The Bulldogs haven't won a Mountain West title since 2022.
Yeah, in those 5 seasons at North Dakota State, he was 60-11. You mentioned the 2 titles. He also had a runner-up finish. So that's a really good program. It should be able to carry over. And I feel like it kind of gets back to the Pat Hill roots, you know, kind of being a little more gritty, running the ball, kind of that Bulldog mentality that you saw for so many of those years. It's one of the better head coaching opportunities in the Mountain West, soon to go to the Pac-12. But it seems like a really good fit on paper, and we'll see if it's a good fit actually on the field starting this season.
Here is Coach Entz on coaching at Fresno State and some of the players as he heads into 2025.
You know, Fresno State has a ton of history and tradition to its program. You know, I know it's kind of been, you know, plateaued a little bit of late, and but I think there's definite room to continue to improve. And you know, I think, you know, people in the Mountain West would be, you know, an average Fresno State is what they like, but we're not about being average. We want to continue to grow and drive this program to, you know, we should always be in the championship conversation, in my opinion.
Coach Entz he's bringing a great staff, good family-oriented team, and everyone just bought into winning games.
We lost a lot of guys, but we brought in a lot of guys that got the same talent. So we're not really worrying about what we lost. We're worrying about the team and building our chemistry right now.
Transfer E.J. Warner has been named the Bulldogs starting quarterback heading into week 0. Heading over now to Utah State, up to Logan, Utah, led by first-year head coach Bronco Mendenhall. Very interesting as he comes over from New Mexico after spending 1 season with the Lobos, becomes just the second head coach in the Mountain West to go from one program in the league to another. So in Mendenhall's return to the state of Utah, can he get this Utah State program back on track?
Yeah, his greatest success came at BYU. I think he's going to do a fine job. He's been a head coach at the FBS level in 18 seasons. His team's been bowl eligible in 16 of those. The thing he's got to fix with Utah State is the defense. The offense was really good last year. The defense was a mess. He does have his starting quarterback coming back in Bryson Barnes. He started toward the latter half of the season. Zack Larsen, one of the best defensive backs in the league. So there are some pieces, but 4th fewest returning productivity of any FBS program. So this is a pretty massive roster turnover as well.
Here is Mendenhall on the returning players from the Aggies and its quarterback, Bryson Barnes, on the difference this year.
The kids that are coming back played under a different staff, so they're playing for Utah State, which absolutely counts. But now they're playing for Utah State under different leadership, and that's not the same, but there are parts that are the same. And now with my staff that was just at New Mexico, they're here, and now they represent Utah State. So there's a merging. We're not a finished product yet of this all now coming together, and now we are Utah State. We're becoming Utah State. The kids that have already been there, they certainly qualify. They just have different leadership now, so it's a work in progress.
It's drastically different. I mean, you're talking about a 75% roster flip. And at the end of the day, when you have a coach that brings in that family first, last, and always, what you're talking about all the time with the culture is that family aspect. So when you get a bunch of new brothers that come into the facility, it's your job, and especially as an older person, a vet, a quarterback, to go out and meet those guys and create those relationships so everybody starts to feel comfortable, everybody starts to get to know each other, and then you're able to create that team aspect. So I feel like we had an accelerated process when you have dudes that are bought into the culture and the system that Broncos put in place.
Heading up to Laramie, Wyoming, or Laradice, as they like to call it, led by second-year head coach Jay Sawvell, a 3-9 season last year. The Cowboys looking to turn that around this year. They boast one of the nation's best tight ends in John Michael Geilenborg. Sawvell hasn't named a starter at quarterback, but it appears Caden Anderson will be the top guy for the Cowboys this year. And it was very interesting because Sawvell said he had a list of 10 players at the end of the season he wanted to retain, and 9 of those top 10 players are still in Laramie. So they have a lot of pieces coming back, but how will they improve in year 2 of the Sawvell era?
Yeah, a lot of player continuity, which is rare in the Mountain West this season, especially on offense. They returned a lot of their offensive core pieces, but the offense wasn't very good last year, just 19 points per game, 11th worst in the FBS. That's got to get a lot better. They had 7 straight seasons where they were bowl eligible, discluding the 2020 COVID year that was snapped last year, 3-9. So Coach Sawvell got to get Wyoming back to the standard. Here's him talking about the season.
I'm excited about a number of things, with us offensively right now. And I think we wrote a book a year ago on how to kind of break the confidence of a quarterback, right? With Evan and the fact of we didn't give him any help. Okay, John Mike didn't play early in the year. We had no running game early in the year. We had offensive line injuries early in the year. We were very inconsistent and wildly unproductive at receiver early in the year. So then you have a guy that then wore the weight of the world on his shoulders on it, and John Mike would have been a big outlet for that. He wasn't available, and that type of thing. So, no, he's huge for us offensively just because he's a weapon in the fact that not only can he keep chains moving, he can create big plays.
It's always good to win. Like I said, after experiencing last year, it kind of puts winning into perspective and how much better everything is when you are winning. But we have closed the book on last year. Last year was its own year, and for us guys that experienced that, we got a chip on our shoulder and motivation going into this year to get back to winning, going 1-0 every week.
Heading down to sunny San Diego to take a look at the San Diego State Aztecs, led by second-year head coach Sean Lewis. A 3-9 record last season, ended the year on a 6-game skid. They return a lot of players as well, some more continuity in the Mountain West, but how are they also going to turn things around to try and get back to a bowl game, a place San Diego State hasn't been since 2022.
Did lose their starting quarterback, Danny O'Neill. He transferred to Wisconsin, but this was their worst season since 2008, and they had a string of 13 straight bowl-eligible seasons prior to 2 years ago. Since then, 7-17. They're in a new stadium, Snapdragon Stadium. They're not really packing it, so they've got to put more excitement in the field. Sean Lewis, known as a great offensive mind. The offense wasn't good last year. The defense slipped. So hopefully that's just a one-year blip, and San Diego State can get back to being one of the better teams in the conference, which has been for the majority of the conference's history.
Here is Coach Lewis and Edge Trey White on turning the season around this year.
It's great that 11 guys from a year ago are coming back. But if those same 11 individuals, right, the same 11 individuals that led to a 3-19 comeback, and we're not any better, then how are the results going to change, right? And it's no different for me as a coach. Like, if I'm not better than a 3-9 head coach, we're going to be a 3-9 team again, right? And so just because you're coming back and time has passed doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, hey, like, we're better now. Like, you have to be intentional, you have to be purposed, you have to have a focus about getting better as you go forward, which each one of those young men have done. We want to, challenge the defense in a lot of different ways. So we're going to go as fast as the big boys up front allow us to go. We're going to go as fast as the quarterback can operate, and we're going to go as fast as we possibly can without it being a detriment to the team.
It's been a grueling offseason. We've been doing a lot of hard stuff, but I feel like that's necessary for this team. We got to put ourselves in situations that create adversity. I feel like that's a piece that we lacked last year is, getting through that adversity throughout the game. So I feel like we've been doing that really well, responding to that really well. And we've just been creating that connection and really that team camaraderie.
Over to Albuquerque, New Mexico, taking a look at the Lobos, led by first-year head coach Jason Eck. Spent the past 3 years as Idaho's head coach and led the Vandals to an FCS playoff berth in all 3 of his seasons there. Inherits a tough situation at New Mexico. Not a lot of starters returning, but he's brought in some players from the transfer portal. His quarterback in Jack Lane has followed him over from Idaho. So we'll see how the Lobos can do in year 1 under Coach Eck.
He brought a lot of players from the Big Sky, honestly. This is going to be like a Big Sky all-star team, and we'll see how they do in the Mountain West. Coach Eck is a good coach. Nevada fans know that. He brought an Idaho team into Mackey Stadium and whooped up on the Wolfpack, back-to-back quarterfinal berths in the FCS playoffs. So it's not an easy place to win, but he's brought some talent in, and I think he's going to get the most out of that talent.
Here is Coach Eck on why he wanted to take this job at New Mexico.
I just see an opportunity. I think there's, we're really kind of starting at the bottom. We've haven't had a winning season since 2016, and I think there's a lot of, just personal satisfaction of being able to try to turn something around that hasn't been good and try to give a community that hasn't had a lot to be excited about with football, give them something they can be excited about. So it's that opportunity, and I think having low expectations is fine. I wouldn't expect people to have higher expectations out of us.
The moment I met Coach Ed and his staff, I knew I wanted to come and play with him. Just based on his resume, how he transformed Idaho, and just like everything he's bringing. Like me, the biggest thing was that he had played O-line and he was in the trenches. So like he's really focused on the O-line and D-line, and he really takes care of us. And so like that's been really big for me.
Coming up next on our Mountain West Football Preview Show, we'll take a look at the rest of the teams in the league, including a pair in Colorado. Welcome back. Heading out to Fort Collins, Colorado to take a look at the Colorado State Rams, led by Jay Norvell. It's Norvell's 4th season at Colorado State. They made it to a bowl game last year, fell in the Arizona Bowl, but 8 wins were the most for Colorado State since 2015. Coach Norvell believes this defense this season is the best he's had in 9 years as a head coach. They returned their quarterback in Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the league. So how can this program continue to rise after being close to making it to the Mountain West Championship game last year?
Despite those 8 wins, I think a lot of Colorado State fans were kind of disappointed because they didn't have to play Boise State, didn't have to play UNLV in the regular season. So the expectation was, take advantage of that, get to the conference championship game. You look at the defense, new defensive coordinator in place. You look at the offense, though. Obviously, Jay Norvell ran the air raid very successfully with the Wolfpack. They kind of backed away from that late last year. There were some wide receiver injuries. Do they lean back into that air raid and throw the ball 40 times per game, or do they rely on Justin Marshall, a really good returning running back? That'll be things that they have to navigate throughout the season. I think it's kind of a high-pressure year on Jay. He's got just 2 years left on his contract. I think if he goes out and gets a bowl, he's going to get an extension. If it goes worse than that, you never know. Here's what Jay Norvell had to say about 2025.
I think this team's disappointed at how we finished, and I think we want more. And I'm really intentional about the kids we brought in. You know, there's a lot of conversation about recruiting in the portal and what kind of players. You know, we put a high priority on players that have played and also players that value winning. You know, when you recruit people that value winning, you don't have to worry about their motivation as much. And so this group is hungry. This group is really selfless. You know, our motto, you know, we over me, is something that they've emulated. And I want to make sure that we continue that. But I'm really excited because we got a lot of hungry players that have played a lot of football and that are physical and talented.
I'll be in practice going on a 2-minute drill. I'm exhausted, I'm gassed. I'm like trotting to the next station, like trying to catch my breath. And then here comes Coach Norvell running right past me. He's like 63 years old, trying to race me. Me being competitive, I'm like, nah, I can't let this old man beat me. So now I'm like full gear, running as fast as I can to the next station. So he's like a really high energy guy. And for him being such an old person, he's like a great role model for everyone and still comes with great energy every single day.
Heading out to the islands to look at the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, led by fourth-year head coach Timmy Chang, previously an assistant at Nevada and then earned the head coaching job at his alma mater. Looking for his first bowl berth since 2020 are the Rainbow Warriors this year. So can Hawaii get back to that place? There's been progress in each of Timmy Chang's years there at Hawaii, but it is a big year for the Rainbow Warriors as they look to get back into their winning ways.
Not a lot of hot seats entering the season in the Mountain West. Timmy Chang's on a hot seat. He's 13-25. He hasn't made a bowl. This is his fourth year. You go 4 years without making a bowl, usually you don't get a fifth year. And I think the offense has to be fixed. Hawaii is known for great offense, and large part because of Timmy Chang when he was a player. Their offense has not been good the last 3 seasons, but maybe there is an answer here in quarterback Micah Alejo. He is a Bishop Gorman alum. He played 1 game last year, the regular season finale against New Mexico. You're watching it right here. 469 passing yards and 5 touchdowns in his first and only college start. He's not going to replicate that in every game this year, but he might be able to inject some positivity into that Hawaii offense. Here's Coach Chang and the players talking about the season.
I think this offseason was just, to me, was our best offseason because we really just honed down on the things that we want to control and want to get better at, and we really want teams to beat us and rather than give a game away, right? And if we can do that, you know, talent-wise, I think we're going to hang with everybody. The Mountain West is very, very competitive, and so if we can just hang in there and just play our game and be smart about it and disciplined, I think those are the things that we really focus on this offseason to really close the gap as we continue to traject.
That's a big part of just guys understanding this defense, being in it for a second year. And, you know, last year being our first year in it, and, you know, guys knew the defense, but not maybe to the point where we knew it, the ins and outs of it. But we were still, you know, doing good. We were still making results from it. But I feel like now being year 2, us fully understanding the playbook and the defense as a whole, I feel like now we'll play lights out. Everybody will play faster. And you'll really start to see the true forms out of everybody on the field.
Heading over to the Air Force Academy to take a look at the Falcons, led by the Mountain West's most tenured head coach in Troy Calhoun. 5-7 last year, didn't make a bowl game, which is very rare for Air Force. Did end the season on a 4-game winning streak. So how will this Falcons team look this season? There's some question marks at quarterback as they still do not have a starter in place. Quentin Hayes is no longer on the team, but 6 starters do return on offense, 4 on defense, 1 on special teams. Can they get back to a bowl game this year?
Yeah, Quinn Hazy transferred to the Citadel, so not in the mix at quarterback. This is a program that had won 29 games in the last 3 years before last season. Nobody wants to play Air Force. This is going to be a tough team no matter what. They were really young last year, playing better toward the end of the season. I think that momentum will carry over. Does Coach Calhoun think that momentum will carry over? We caught up with him at Mountain West Media Days as well.
Well, we do return some guys who are in our front six on defense and up front on offense. And there are some spots we're very inexperienced. I mean, to the point where we're probably going to have some guys out there that have never played a snap that may even start some games for us early. So I think, one of the keys will be just being patient and realizing, health willing, that we're likely going to play our best football down the stretch of the season.
I think if we can continue that 4-game winning streak, that'd be really cool. Obviously, if we can carry what we did the last 4 games of last season to the next season, we can keep that going to 5, 6, 7 wins. That'd be really cool.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at some players on offense and defense to watch around the Mountain West this season. Welcome back to our Mountain West football preview show. Taking a look at some players on offense and defense to keep an eye on this season. We start with quarterback Chubba Purdy. He enters his 6th season of college after stints at Nebraska and Florida State. He's been plagued by injuries. Can he remain healthy in 2025?
Yeah, really electric athlete. I think there are some questions on how the arm can operate in offense, but he's going to make a lot of plays with his legs. He started 6 games in college, 0-6 in those games. They've only averaged 13 points per game as well in those games, so certainly a lot to prove, but he's a super fun kid, a really good kid. Seems like he's become a big leader, and now he's got the chance to show that he can be an FBS starting quarterback.
Offensive tackle Cage Casey of Boise State earned a slew of All-American honors last season. He's gaining first-round NFL draft buzz. He played a team-high 947 offensive snaps last year.
And didn't allow a sack, and also blocked for Ashton Genty, the Heisman Trophy runner-up. So he's a great left tackle. If you're a multi-year left tackle at Boise State, you play in the NFL. That's the history. This guy is certainly going to play in the NFL.
Running back Scott Humphrey of New Mexico, the transfer from Montana State. He actually scored the game-winning touchdown against New Mexico last year, and now he is suiting up as a Lobo.
Yeah, almost 1,900 yards and 24 touchdowns in 2 seasons at Montana State, where he was an FCS All-American. New Mexico has brought in a lot of Big Sky players. He's the best of the bunch. He could be the Mountain West's best running back in year 1.
Colorado State's quarterback Braden Fowler Nicolosi, one of the league's most experienced quarterbacks. He is certainly someone to keep an eye on this year.
Does he have the next step, though? In the air raid, you're going to put up big numbers. His numbers have been good. 61% completions, 6,450 yards, 37 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. He's got to curb back the picks and make less mistakes, but he's really not been able to flourish just yet. Carson Strong, the ex-Nevada star, 2-time Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, he's on the Colorado State staff to try and help connect with Braden Fowler Nicolosi and try and get him to the next level.
How about UNLV's running back Jaden Thomas? During his freshman season, he led college football with 12 rushing touchdowns. He rushed for almost 1,000 yards last season. Can he continue to elevate this year and be a big part of the Rebels offense?
UNLV had 11 all-conference players last year. He's the only one who came back this season, so there's a lot of uncertainties on that Rebels roster, but we do know that he's a very good player. He is the Mountain West top returning rusher with 918 yards last season.
We take a look on defense now. How about edge rusher Trey White of San Diego State, the Mountain West preseason defensive player of the year. He led the league in sacks last season with 12.5.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore, and then 19 tackles for loss, which also were a conference high. He's from Chula Vista, so that's right around the San Diego State area. That's probably why he didn't hit the portal. If he did, he probably would have made a lot of money. This guy's a future NFL player, very, very talented edge rusher, which is a strong position for the Mountain West this season.
Another edge rusher in Jaden Virgin Morgan of Boise State, one of the league's best pass rushers, collected 10 sacks last year, 15.5 tackles for loss. He's also a preseason All-American.
Yeah, he was on my preseason team. He was my preseason defensive player of the year. One of the things he's going to have to deal with, though, is Boise State's top edge rusher last year, Ahmed Hassian. He was drafted into the NFL, so you're going to see more protection rolled over to his side. He should still be able to get through and beat it. It's a very good defense for Boise State. He's probably the best player on that defense.
At Utah State, their safety, Zack Larsen, 217 career tackles, 9 interceptions. He returns to lead the Aggies secondary. Did see a report from the athletic department came out. He has been issued a suspension, so not sure when he will be suiting up for the Aggies this season.
Well, that's certainly not good. He's also got 5 block kicks, so one of the better special teams players in the Mountain West. There was a coaching change there. He decided to stick with it, but who knows what happened off the field to maybe lead to that suspension. But a very talented player if he can get back in the good graces.
Linebacker Jordan Pollard, his 4th year at San Jose State, finished the season with a career high in tackles, tackles for loss, pass breakups, and sacks. 115 tackles, good last year for 3rd most in the Mountain West.
He's the top returning tackler in the conference. He's part of a really good middle linebacker duo. Taneli Latu also coming back for San Jose State. Spartans lost 2 really talented defensive ends, defensive backs. One transferred to USC, one transferred to SMU. But the middle part of that defense should be really strong with Jordan Pollard anchoring things.
And our 5th player to look at on defense, how about the 5th-year player at Fresno State in corner, Alzillian Hamilton, the All-Mountain West honorable mention pick, is back to lead the Bulldogs secondary.
Yeah, for me, he's the best cover corner in the league. He's actually got a very interesting backstory with his name. So his dad read a story about a guy named Zillion Cash in Oakland who was murdered in 2012. That really stuck with him because he was very sad about the situation. Al Zillion is the 4th child in the family. The first 3, their names started with AL. So to honor Zillion Cash, he named his son Alzillian Hamilton. So we'll see how he does this year, but a potential NFL player there if he can have a strong senior season.
That is a pretty cool story. I enjoyed when he shared that at Media Day. All right, coming up next here on our show, we'll wrap things up with some picks and predictions as we gear up for the 2025 season. Wrapping things up with some picks and predictions as the 2025 season is almost here. Chris, let's start off with your Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year.
I'm going to go with UNLV running back Jaden Thomas. There's not a lot of high-level quarterbacks. This is usually a quarterback award. I couldn't find one, so I'm going with the running back.
I'm going with the running back as well. We
nice.
Didn't pick these together. Always like to throw out that disclaimer, but I think he had a pretty big season last year, rushing for almost 1,000 yards, and he's going to be a big piece to the Rebels' offensive success this year. Chris, how about your Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year?
Going over to Boise State defensive end Jaden Virgin Morgan. Since Boise State entered the Mountain West in 2011, they've only had 2 Mountain West Defensive Players of the Year. I figured that number would be higher. Leighton Vander Esch in 2017, Curtis Weaver in 2019. So I think that streak ends. I think Virgin Morgan around 12 to 13 sacks, and he wins Conference Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm also going with Virgin Morgan, the preseason All-American, also a team captain. He's been a big part of the Boise State defense and their success. But this was a tough one because also Trey White could have picked him as well. I thought maybe he could have been picked for my Defensive Player of the Year, but went with the kid over at Boise State. How about your Mountain West Coach of the Year?
Wolfpack fans might not like this one. I'm going to go with Dan Mullen of UNLV. I mean, this guy's a proven winner, and if they do get to like 9-10 wins, then he deserves the award because this roster has been completely flipped. So Dan Mullen of UNLV is my choice for preseason Coach of the Year.
I'm going with San Jose State's Ken Numatalolo. We saw when he was over at Navy, helped guide Navy to a couple of top 25 finishes, so a proven winner, and he's been on track to getting the Spartans back to that Mountain West championship game after a pretty successful season last year. Can they take that next step and win a Mountain West title, something they did in 2020?
That's a big one. And he has been a 3-time American Conference Coach of the Year.
Well, there we go. Hey, maybe there might be something there, right? How about your Mountain West championship game prediction?
I'm going chalk. I'm going Boise State again, but I'm having them beat San Jose State. So maybe that part's a little bit of surprise, but the Broncos are just so talented. I think it happens for a 3rd straight season.
And I think Boise State over San Jose State. As I mentioned, Coach Ken Numatalolo as the Mountain West Coach of the Year. Should be a fun season of Mountain West football. Thanks so much for joining us. He's Chris. I'm Shannon. We'll see you next time.